The recent spate of attacks on parking meters in Bristol has cost the City Council £660,000 in lost revenue and repair bills. More than 100 pay and display machines were vandalised in the city since last October. The damage meant that many motorists were able to park for free. But the council has confirmed all meters are now back in operation and says it introduced security measures to prevent any further attacks.
Last week, you may remember, we reported on the West couple who were treated like criminals when they accidentally brought a handful of fruit into Australia. Now, a man from Bristol who slightly overran his visa has been given another taste of Aussie officialdom. He was thrown into a maximum security jail over Christmas and spent 3 weeks locked up with murderers, child molesters and drug runners.
Daniel Bolton jumped at the chance when his Australian girlfriend Heidi offered to show him the country. They worked there and saved and then travelled their way round. Daniel obtained several bridging visas to extend his original permit. When the couple reached Darwin, he needed to update it again. But on Christmas Eve, 2 immigration officers arrived at his workplace and asked him to come to their offices.
And they put me in a cage on the back of a truck, which was my first experience of a cell, really. 60 minutes later, I was in a prison in Darwin.
Daniel says there was no help when he asked the prison to ring the British Embassy. When he wanted a lawyer, he says prison officers handed him a phone book, but he knew he couldn't afford the fees.
I didn't know what was happening, where I was. I didn't know what was going to happen to Heidi. She was 3,500 miles from any of her family or friends. I was scared.
But the information the authorities gave Daniel appears to show he did indeed have rights. But he ended up spending 21 days all over Christmas in a high-security prison.
The guy in the cell on the left next to me was Bradley Murdoch. He's accused of killing Peter Falconio. There's 96 people in there for murders, paedophilia, bank robbery, drugs.
Heidi continued to ring the immigration officials but got no answer, and the offices were closed for Christmas. She was allowed just a couple of visits a week.
They didn't even treat the people that visited very well at all. You'd see little kids crying because they were visiting their relatives and then being dragged away from their, fathers.
Heidi had to sell her car to raise the money to return to the UK. Daniel was deported and ended up with a bill of more than 5,000 Australian dollars for his prison stay and ticket home. The Australian Embassy said today they'll look into Daniel's case. He doesn't dispute his visa needed renewing, but feels the punishment in no way fitted the crime. Jane Solomons, ITV West News, Bristol.
Plans to completely rebuild the fading Tropicana attraction at Weston-super-Mare should be thrown out if this Friday's deadline isn't met. That's the view of one councillor on the North Somerset Authority. They have a meeting tonight and it's thought the developers may be given an extension to get everything in place before building work can start.
Most people agree that the Tropicana on Western Seafront is a mess. Plans to knock it down and transform the site into a multi-million-pound leisure complex were unveiled last year by developers Mace. But since then, nothing's happened. One councillor says he's concerned by the lack of progress.
Mace applied 3 months ago for an extension on the scheme. They were granted that extension. I'm not convinced that they've got the package together, and therefore by putting this motion of no confidence in them at council tonight, it's an attempt to force their hand. They can either come up with the goods or they can't. It's got to be one or the other.
The Tropicana had its heyday in the 60s. Although it had a facelift in the 80s, it gradually became uneconomic and closed in 1999. The delays in starting work on the new scheme is frustrating residents.
It's been going on too long now. I think the council have given the development firm far too many extensions.
The length of time is disgraceful. They keep giving us dates when they're going to start and then it's extended and extended.
The Tropicana is one of 3 prime seafront locations that are earmarked for development. But plans for Burnbeck Pier and Nightstone Island are also complex. It could take years before they're realised. Despite problems, the council believes the Tropicana project will go ahead.
I'm extremely confident it will go forward. They promised us that the negotiations are taking place as we speak. We have information received today. Some of the users are already signed up. And I have every confidence that we shall see an excellent improvement to the seafront.
If developers Mace are given an extension of time, council leaders say demolition work will start later this year and the new Tropicana should be open for business in 2006. Kevin Langdon, ITV West News, Weston-super-Mare.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they got on with it, wouldn't
Very
it?
space age, that.
Well, it
Very
looks space age, yeah.
OK, let's have a quick look at what's still to come on ITV West News.
Man and micro machines in perfect harmony, making an aircraft as small as a bee.
Mind the baby. Now there's a course to teach babysitting.
And the babies left on their own because of climate change.